Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of our slash Am I the Butthole? Am I the butthole for taking my newborn son and going to my mom's house because my husband his mom didn't save me any food for dinner? I am 32-year-old female gave birth to my son 5 weeks ago. My husband's mom has been camping in the living room ever since and inviting people over, making a mess in the house, etc. I said nothing because if I open my mouth, my husband would start scolding me saying his mom is there to help and I should be grateful. What I did was ignore her and focus on my son. I handle feeding, diaper change, cleaning, wiping. I only get a few hours sleep, so my husband's mom isn't really helping with the baby. But I thought to myself, well, at least she cooks for us. Last night, I was in the bedroom breastfeeding my son. I knew I was late for dinner, but I thought that my husband and his mom saved a plate for me. Once I got done with my son, I walked out the room and saw my husband and his mom sitting watching TV. I asked about dinner and my husband said it was probably on the stove. As I was walking towards the kitchen, his mom loudly said that she didn't save me any food. I was absolutely shocked. I asked her why and she simply said, well, we didn't see you at dinner table so I thought you weren't hungry. I lost it and yelled that I was feeding my son. Of course I was hungry, I was actually starving. She shrugged her shoulders and said it wasn't her fault I didn't show up for dinner, but she knew damn well that I was with my son and hadn't eaten a thing in hours. My husband asked me to not raise my voice at his mom, but I told him that he saw what happened and didn't think about me being hungry and needing food. He lashed out asking what the F I wanted him to do and I said I don't know, maybe save some food for me? She defended him saying it was selfish of me to basically berate him for eating his dinner after working for long hours at the department. An argument ensued and I went inside the bedroom, packed a small bag for me and my son, called my brother to come take me to mom's house and my husband blew up at me as I was making my way out. We argued at the door and he told me that what I was doing was uncalled for and childish. I told him I couldn't take his mom anymore. He said I should be ashamed of myself for talking about her like that after she literally put her life on pause so she could help me out. My brother came and I got into the car and left. He picked some food for me on the way and I ate like a hungry bear. My husband never stopped calling though. In his last text he called me nuts and demanded I return today, but I said that I miss my mom, that I like it here in her clean home with her healthy food and would like to stay for a while. He's lost it and got his family involved, accusing me of keeping his son away from him and punishing him over food. Next story. Am I the butthole for my reaction when I learned that my fiancé returned my wedding dress and replaced it with the one his mom picked for me? My fiancé, 33 male, and I am 28-year female, are getting married in December. His mom is the intrusive type, but she's nice overall and we somewhat get along. I hate to admit that wedding planning has been an absolute nightmare. His mom wasn't willing to agree on most things, and my fiancé said that since he's her only son then I should respect and appreciate this vision she has for the wedding and how it should be. She insisted to come along for wedding dress shopping. I took her with me and my mom and friends. I was so lucky to have found what I was looking for. But she picked a dress that she liked so much and said that she always pictured her son's bride in it. Mom and friends thought this line was creepy. I thought the dress was somewhat creepy and totally not my type. I apologized and thanked her for her vision but told her that I'd already decided on a dress that I had envisioned myself wearing at my wedding. She got all pissy because of it apparently, then must have told my fiancé because he came home in the evening ranting about how I made his mom upset and turned down her help in choosing the wedding dress and excluded her from the process. I asked what process? Duh, it's just a wedding dress, my wedding dress, so I really didn't get how she should get a say at all. He got upset and said that this attitude of mine isn't working on him or his mom. He said that I should consider the dress his mom wanted me to buy, especially knowing that both dresses weren't that much different anyway, like she said, but I told him yes, they were different, like so much different. Anyways, we argued about it, then we dropped it. Yesterday I came home and found out that he had returned my wedding dress and replaced it with the one his mom wanted. I called him and he was straightforward about what he did and why he did it. I lost it and started screaming at him. He asked me to calm down and really give this dress a chance. I refused to even listen. I screamed at him without giving him a chance to speak. He got home and we had an argument. I then went to stay with one of my friends and he kept calling and calling, then texting saying that I overreacted and it's his wedding too, so it wasn't cool how I screamed at him. He insisted I give this dress a chance. He went on and on about how his mom has a vision and good intentions and just wants what's best for me as her future daughter-in-law. Mom is livid and has been wanting to go scream at him and his mom, but my dad said that this isn't worth ruining my relationship with my in-laws. He suggested I wisen up and go with the flow, but is it too much for me to be able to pick my own wedding dress without being guilt about it just to keep the peace? Am I the butthole for my reaction? Next story. Am I the butthole for doing the same thing to my sister-in-law that she does to my son? I am 32-year female, have a brother, Dave, 35 male, who's married to Sarah, 29 female. They don't have children yet. I have a son who just turned 4 and a 3-month-old daughter with my husband, 39 male. My husband and I live in Belgium most of the time, but we travel back to visit my family about once a month, in England. At home, we speak both English and French to our children. My husband is Belgian, and right now, my son is in this very sweet phase where he'll sometimes mix up the two languages and say a couple of words in English in a French sentence or vice versa. This has never posed a problem to us, and even the staff at his nursery have reassured us that it's very common and they tend to grow out of it once they start at school. My sister-in-law has decided that this is a problem, so when we're visiting my parents and she notices my son doing this, she'll correct him, but she does so really rudely, whereas my husband and I will just gently correct him. Anyway, we're visiting at the moment and she's now decided that instead of correcting him, she's just going to start ignoring him when he does this. I sort of noticed her doing it when we arrived, and I thought it was odd, but assumed maybe she was just stressed. Her job is quite intense, but it only really became an issue yesterday. My husband was talking to my dad outside and I was feeding my daughter in the other room, and I'd left Louis with Sarah and Dave. When I came back downstairs, Louis was crying, and I managed to understand that he tried to ask Sarah for a drink. He has a special cup he uses that he was holding, so it was obvious what he meant, but that she just ignored him. I asked her why and she explained that she wasn't going to reply to him unless he said the sentence correctly and that I shouldn't be ignoring my son's obvious speech issues. For context, it's not that she didn't know what he wanted. She told me that she understood exactly what he was asking for, but that she was deliberately refusing because he hadn't asked correctly. This really pissed me off, but luckily my husband came inside at that moment and pulled me away so we could calm down and settle Louis. That night at the dinner table, Sarah asked me to pass her something, but she said it in bad English, is English, I just mean that she asked for it in slang. Think, pass us the peas, will you? I had a bit of an epiphany and I just decided to totally ignore her. She asked again, and I did the same thing. My brother asked why I was ignoring his wife and I said that I'm not able to reply if she can't speak English correctly and that it's wrong of him to ignore her obvious issues with grammar. Everyone's pretty pissed off with me and I admit it was incredibly childish, but she was needlessly being a d-head to my baby. Should I just apologize? Next story. Am I the butthole for sending an invoice to my wife's cousin after she didn't have space for us at her wedding? I own a printing company that I run with my wife. Her cousin came to us and wanted us to do all the signage, banners, guest books, life-sized cutouts, etc. for her wedding. We do this all the time for friends' weddings and events, and we never charge. We're happy to help out and it's usually a lot of fun working together to make some cool stuff. A few weeks before the wedding, her wedding planner tells us they need all the items by X date so they can set it up for the wedding. At this point, we hadn't received our wedding invitations and didn't even know when the actual wedding was. My wife texts her and tries to clarify when the wedding is and if we missed the invitation somehow. Her cousin replies and says, oh, we downsized the wedding and we decided to have like a close friends and family thing and that they didn't have space for us in the small venue. My wife and I are pretty hurt and insulted. And on top of it, we've spent close to $2,000 on all the materials. Her cousin and the wedding planner kept making tiny revisions to the artwork, had us print samples to see how it would look in person, resized several of the items a few times, etc. All that cost a ton of time and money. And we're a functioning business, so we either had to delay other orders or stay late and print her stuff on our own time. So I went ahead and billed her for our cost and said we needed payment before delivery because I'm not going to chase her for payment for months/years after the wedding. We're not making money on it, just charged her for the cost of materials. So far we've gotten threatening calls from the cousin, her fiancé, some random members of my wife's family that I don't know, some of the groomsmen, etc., essentially calling us buttholes. After the harassment, I'm considering charging full price or else we won't deliver the items. Are we the buttholes here? Sorry, but I'm not going to waste my hard earned time and money on someone who doesn't even consider us close friends and family. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel or posts.